Good afternoon, this is King Cobra. Oh no, it's Cobra USA. Sure, I'm the king of the program at the moment because we don't have a queen. Once she gets here, I'm in trouble. My name is Blu Laker. This radio show is a radio show that belongs to Radio Tribune. It emanates here in Las Vegas, Nevada. And this show is not really intended to be too political, but it really is trying to assist political wannabes in trying to present a program that is good enough for everybody. And when we say that, we're talking about some of the current needs here in the United States, whether it be the monetary system, healthcare, Social Security. Many of the issues that are on the table have been proposed, but we haven't seen too much action in a positive sense. Now, it doesn't mean that they're not going to happen. What it means is that so far, we have not been able to put them into effect. A lot of that is because of the logjam with the Democratic Party. And why is it that we have that contention? Why don't they realize that we have to move forward? We're certainly not going to have 4 years of this bickering and BS that's taken place today. It doesn't work. Does that mean instead of $20 trillion, we'll have $40 trillion at the end of the 4-year term? Let's get real. Because if we don't, then we're going to pay the price. So I would say to you, if there's one thing that we need to do collectively, is to inform our legislative bodies that we've had enough of this griping and one-sided and voting strictly down party lines instead of being able to vote your conscience. We've got to be able to do that. And there's got to be a way to make that happen. I think that we're on the verge of being able to put those things together. And I believe we have to take these issues one at a time. Now, is it right to say that the GOP plan for healthcare has been taken off the table? Yeah, you could say that. It's been taken off the table. But, it's like anything else. This is a big battle, and it really needs to be fair to all parties. And I'd like to talk a little bit about that. When I say being fair to all parties, if you're involved with a two-party system and there are no rules, then it's chaos and confusion. Whereas if there are rules and they abide by the rules and they have agreed to the rules, all parties, then you simply have to follow them. And that's what the referee does. He makes sure that the laws are being followed correctly. Am I wrong in stating that the U.S. Constitution that was put together some 200 years ago was wrongfully put together? No, of course not. We've lived with it for over 200 years. And the people that made those decisions back then didn't just take a couple of days or weeks. It took them a long, long time to put the Constitution together. And they were certainly brave and intelligent people. And that came after we won our independence from Britain. We had to fight to get to the point where we would be able to have our own freedoms. Those freedoms included the right to choose and have our own religions, the right to bear arms, the right to free speech. Those are critical issues that the Constitution brought to us. And now we find people wanting to take away those liberties, to chip away at the cornerstones of the Constitution, where we should be fighting to make sure that they don't erode. Is that because we, as the population, have become complacent? And we figure, well, what the heck? We can't do anything about it anyway. Well, you see, you're wrong. We can do something about it. We should do something about it. We must do something about it because it ain't working. We can't continue to have these deficits, uncontrollable deficits that are getting bigger and bigger as every minute goes by. We've got to bring that under control. With as many people as we have on welfare, food stamps, and subsidies, in Obamacare, as I understand it, 60% of the people in Obamacare are on welfare or subsidies. That means 40% is carrying the load. No wonder no one wants to enter into that. When it becomes so expensive that you have to choose between food, insurance, or utility bills, something has got to give. In this case, especially with health care, there are many avenues for us to make it work for all people. There are many avenues of revenue that we haven't even looked at or addressed. And that's part of the overall picture, because you see, I don't care how good the program is. If you don't know how you're going to pay for it, it's not going to work. Well, there are ways to deal with Obamacare, one of which I've talked about on a couple of occasions, one of which is already a law, one of which can be amended and has been amended in the past, and can be put together in a program that works for all people. Well, how is that possible? It's not as difficult as it might sound. Oh, sure, there's this, there's that, there's an amendment to this, an amendment to that, there's an add-on there, we'll throw this in with the bill to make this get passed. No, we have to address the concern of health, all by its lonesome, and to how it's going to apply to all different types of people, whether that be the poor people, the middle class, or the upper class. Whether it's a matter of choice between this plan or that plan, or the first class seats, well, that's up to the individual and according to their needs, desires, and ability to pay. Because nothing is free. There is no free lunch. Somebody is paying for it. If you go to the Salvation Army and that food has been donated, somebody paid for that food in the first place to give the Salvation Army to feed the other people. There's plenty of programs like that. And to say that it can't work with healthcare is absolutely ridiculous. To say that we can't develop a plan that is world class is also ridiculous. But if we're going to stay under the control of the lobbyists and special interests, no, it isn't going to work. It's up to us to come out of the woods and let them know exactly what we're thinking. Now we can't have 330 million people running to Congress and flooding them with so much mail and ideas that they can't concentrate on the real objective, which is to get a program together. And the good part about what I'm telling you is that we already have plans. One, in fact, created by Ronald Reagan in 1985 and enacted into law in 1986, and is still in force today, which is Cobra. Now, what is Cobra? Well, Cobra is a insurance plan program, but it is not insurance. But Cobra is the law. Cobra provides for the continuation of health care that one might have as an individual, an employee, or an employer, and other special cases to really cover just about everything. Oh, well, I've heard about that program that's very expensive. Well, you may be right, and it has changed over the years, but is it any more expensive than your own individual insurance program? Probably not. And the other thing is that as a continuation of a particular program, whether it happens to be Obamacare or whatever, when we say continuation, we're talking about no change. So the people that are in the program can continue whatever they have for up to 18 months while they find a replacement for their existing insurance coverage. Well, what about? Well, let me tell you what about, okay? You have to understand that Cobra is an administrative program, not an insurance plan, but an administrative program that guarantees the continuation of health care. That's what it does. Now, certainly, there's more to it than that. Yes, as a matter of fact, the whole law on Cobra is just 48 pages long. 48 pages long is all it takes. And if you want the information as to how to get that, well, the simplest way is to go online, go into the internet, and pull up Cobra. Now, again, Cobra is the Cobra Insurance. You can find it at cobrainsurance.com/cobra-law.information. 48 pages of continuing requirements applicable to group health plans. So, if you don't know about it, before you start talking about it, read what the law is. After all, the reason we create laws is so people can have a guide to go by. And if we don't enforce those guides, and I don't care whether it's insurance or immigration, we have no law. And what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And if it isn't, then we have no law. It's just like the borders. If we don't have borders, we don't have a country. Imagine that. We don't have borders in Canada, on the ocean fronts, on the southern border, the northern border, the eastern border. All around this country, what we have is open waters. What we have is the ability for people to come in at will. And again, it gets back to what we've been told by so many other presidents. A country without borders is not a country. Oh, you want a country? Or you want to become the largest melting pot in the world and become a third world power? Oh, no, that couldn't possibly happen. Well, let me tell you, 9/11 couldn't possibly happen, but it did. World War II couldn't happen, but it did. Many things couldn't happen, but they have. And we don't know when or where they're coming from. ISIS, we think, well, they got to stop. We're bombing the heck out of them. Well, they haven't stopped. They're getting bigger. Why is that? How are they getting bigger when we're just destroying them all? Well, that's because they have a religious belief, and so entwined into their religion and they believe what they're doing. Does it make them bad people? Well, that's up to you. That's up to me to make that determination. But the radical Islamists are certainly not good people, killing others at will. And the problem with that is, with all the expertise that we have, with all the modern equipment, with all the computers, all the planes, everything, all the drones, all sophisticated hardware, software, you name it, we got it. But we haven't been able to knock them out of the box. Is it going to get better? Or are we going to have to develop new strategies? I think the answer to that is we have to develop new strategies. We have got to work with other countries that believe in the same ideological philosophies that we have, so that collectively we can, if you were, circle the enemy. Just like the Indians circled the wagons, we have to circle ISIS. We have to crush them. Well, what does crushing mean? Well, let me put this in perspective for you. If ISIS and the teachings of the Quran are what they believe in, and it says to destroy the infidels, all you need to do is find out who the infidels are, and it looks like we're it. Christians, Jews, anybody that doesn't believe in the Quran. Sounds like they're pretty set in their ways. Oh, and they have demonstrated that time after time after time, with over, 40 attacks here in the United States? Here in the United States? Think about that for a second. We're not in the Middle East. We're in America. It's a huge country. And yet this is happening here. Will it get better or will it get worse? That's anybody's guess. But is it over? The answer is no. Because, you see, we are militarized. And they are too. However, they don't have the sophisticated hardware, software, and equipment that we have. But what they do have is small groups, even individuals, who are carrying out the missions for them. As a result of that, they're very difficult to find, hit, and remove. And a lot of times, the suicide bombers are giving more strength to the enemy because they get more volunteers. They don't seem to be running out of martyrs for their cause. You don't see that happening on this side. Is that because we don't believe? We don't believe in this country? We are spending billions of dollars to bring this under control. By the same token, they're spending thousands of dollars because it's much less sophisticated, because their costs are not as extreme. They make their own bombs. They have supply chains that we have not been able to break, even with the many ships and other transports that have brought weapons and equipment to them. We haven't stopped the flow. You would think that if we knock out some of their hideaways, that they would be decimated and they wouldn't be able to fall back and regroup. But guess what? They are. Is that because our military isn't as smart as theirs? I don't think so. It takes more to move an army than it does to move a squad or individuals. Much more money, much more equipment, much more ammunition, much more destruction, and collateral damage is just an everyday incident now. And I don't understand how we can continue to decimate some of the civilian populations in other countries. Look, I don't believe there could be any greater patriot. Oh, yes, certainly Washington, John Paul Jones, and many, 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 many more. But from my standpoint, I'm as American as you get. And I believe in the American way. And I believe in the future of America. But if it's not worth fighting for, you don't deserve it. So when you're thinking about these different items that are on the board, whether it's healthcare, tax reform, gun control, wars, everything that's critical and important to the United States, don't just think of, oh, I am a Republican, I am a Democrat, and I don't do anything that's out of the party line. BS. Stand up and be counted as an American. Because if you're not an American, I don't believe that you belong in either of those two parties. And I don't like the two-party system. But that's what we have for now. It will change as time goes on. Again, right now, the biggest issue that I see on the table, even after the GOP plan was pulled off without a vote, do I think that that was an advantage or disadvantage? I think it was an advantage. I believe that it shows where certain members of Congress, whether it be Republicans or Democrats, have stood by their beliefs and want a better program in order for them to be able to satisfy their constituents, their families, and the future. So we must make a concerted effort to bring all of this together so that we can enjoy the benefits that this great country has. This great country didn't come without a price. Whether it was the Alamo, whether it was the Declaration of Independence, whether it was the American Revolution, the Spanish Wars, all of those, Vietnam, and the list goes on and on and on. And American soldiers, men and women, gave their lives for you to enjoy your independence. If you don't do anything else, if you don't want to consider your future, where we are going, at least consider the contributions made by millions of Americans to this country so that you can enjoy the freedoms that you have. And if you let them take them away from you, all you're doing is aiding and abetting the enemy. Aiding and abetting the enemy. Take a stand. You know, it's possible that you may not know the consequences. It may be that you are totally unaware of the circumstances. It may be that you're brainwashed by a party, whether it be the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. If you can't stand on your own 2 feet, and God gave each and every one of us that ability, then I'm going to repeat a little something. Because the Lord has said that show me someone with faith and no works, and I'll show you someone who's dead. If you fit that description, if you are in that category of having faith in a party as opposed to faith in the country, we're all in trouble. We can't think that way anymore. Donald Trump and his administration have said, America first. Let's make America great again. And that's what we have to do. Let's not get thrown off track by doing things without thought. Think twice, act once. That's what we have to do. We need to think about what people are telling us and say, well, is that true? Well, if it is true, or I have any question, then I need to research and find out for myself. And if someone is providing you with fake news or propaganda to support their own particular needs, then you need to be aware of it, and you need to do something about it. You need to start working as the Lord has said. Show me a man with faith and no works, and I'll show you a dead man. Only works can change your situation and make it better. And that's exactly what Donald Trump has said. Make America great. No, he can't do it by himself. That's not possible. And he can't do it with division. We must come together. We must come together with the right parties to make it work. You want to make it work? Well then, by all means, stay tuned. Because we do this Monday through Friday at 2 o'clock. This is Cobra, USA. This is Blu Laker. And I can be reached here at the station. Or you can call 743-8297. That's 743-8297. Or email at cobra.blulaker@gmail.com. So for today, I want to leave you with this thought. Don't leave it up to your representatives. We haven't cleaned the barn yet. We're working on it. And it would be nice to see that happen so that we can have peace and tranquility, not only here in the United States, but around the world. We have the ability to be the beacon of the world. We had that at one time. We lost it. And now either we get it back or we will not be the world's greatest power for very much longer. I want to thank you for your time today. I look forward to hearing from you, to have you as a guest on the show, to have you look into Cobra, to make sure that you understand what it's about and the potential behind that program that's already existing, and I did not create it. This is Blu Laker at Cobra. I thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Have a great day.